It is my absolute pleasure to introduce our speaker for this session, clinical nutritionist Rida Sayed. Rida specializes in autoimmune and lifestyle health, and her approach is not just about food or symptoms, but about understanding the deeper connection between stress, nutrition, modern living, and how the body responds with intelligence and not betrayal. And that's exactly what today's talk is about. Your body is not betraying you. So I'd love for you all to stay open, stay curious, and maybe even rethink some of the ways we've been taught to look at our health. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Rida Sayed.
Did anyone feel that your body was trying to betray you? Anyone among you, did anyone feel like that? Any kind of digestive issues or brain fog or skin problem, maybe? Perhaps at some point where you might have been wondering, like, why is my body doing this to me? Did anyone feel like that? All the time. Sometimes. Okay. So if you ever felt that way, you're not alone, all right? Many people living with autoimmune conditions feel exactly the same way. Okay? So they feel betrayed by their own bodies. So today, what I will be doing is we'll be giving you a different perspective about your body's immune system. Okay? So what if I tell you that your body isn't betraying you at all? Who agrees with this? Do you think that they're trying to attack you, or are you thinking that they're trying to help you? Help us. Exactly. What if I tell you that your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, trying to protect you in the best way possible? So that is how I will be explaining you different ways, maybe giving you different kind of information so it will be easy for you to understand, all right? So let us begin with the session. So when it comes to your immune system, all right, I'll just tell you a story that one of my friend, okay, I would say she used to work. She's a 34-year-old woman, busy. She is a mother of two, very busy, working hard and everything. But you know what was the problem? She was always exhausted every time. She was exhausted, as in not the kind of exhausted you feel like you can fix the sleep or something like that. Through fixing the sleep, it will not be, resolved. It was the kind of tiredness that follows you everywhere. Whatever she was doing, every time she was tired. Morning when she gets up, she was tired. Every time she was exhausted. So what she did, she went to the doctor, did her blood test, and then found out that everything was normal. All the blood tests, everything showed it was normal. But she knew something wasn't right. Okay. Have you, any one of you have experienced this kind of feeling? Like your blood test shows that everything is normal, but deep inside you may be feeling that, it's not right. Who has felt that? Exactly. Many people are suffering from brain fog and memory issues, which I feel is very quiet nowadays, regardless of the same age. Exactly. I agree with that. Why do you think it happens? Okay, so let me just rephrase it. Your body is not trying to betray you, but it's actually trying to protect you. Okay, it is exactly doing what it's supposed to be doing. All right. So that is how we will start the topic, because we are not trying to show that, because by saying that the body is betraying, we are trying to show that the body is the enemy, whereas it's actually trying to protect. But somehow it is kind of confused. So what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to guide in a proper direction. How will we do that? By giving them clarity. Okay? So that is how we're going to do. Okay, so based on this, like someone just messaged in the chat box, right, that many people are suffering from brain fog, memory issues, and all that. I will tell you a proper example for this. Okay. So, for example, um, you have, what do you say? Imagine that you have hired a security guard. All right. So the security guard's work is to protect your home, and protect the family members inside, see who is there inside, and see, try to stop the ones who are not some kind of intruder, if I would say. Okay. But during the first day of the job, the agency provides the security guard with some wrong information. Maybe they have given the list of your family members, for example, instead of giving the list of the intruder. Okay. He is supposed to be, the security guard is supposed to be very dedicated, very efficient, working, everything. Okay. But because of this information, what he started doing is he, instead of stopping the intruder, he started stopping your family members instead. So what would happen? Do you think it was a mistake of the security guard, or was it the wrong information provided? Would you start firing the security guard mistake, or would you provide him the proper information that he requires? The wrong information, yes. So instead, what will you be doing? You will give him the right information so that so that the security guard can stop the right person. The same way, the body is also doing the same thing. Okay. The security guard wasn't the evil person, right? He was not trying to hurt people, right? What should we be doing? We should not be firing him. Instead, because there was a miscommunication, he was confused, working with the incorrect information. That is why we are supposed to give him the right information, and he will be able to do his job properly. Same way, the immune system also behaves a similar kind of way. Okay. So it is like he's trying to protect us from, there is something called as molecular mimicry. Have you all heard of molecular mimicry? Anyone who has heard of molecular mimicry? No one? Okay. No, not really. Okay. Basically, what this molecular mimicry is, that, there's some kind of foreign proteins or viruses or bacteria, I might say, that they may try to, enter the body, right? But it may also, some of the bacteria or these viruses may resemble our own tissues. So, what happens when these bacteria are entering our system? The immune system will start creating antibodies to fight against the invaders, right? But instead, sometimes what happens is those antibodies can actually sometimes mistakenly, try to react your own tissues to start, targeting your own tissues. And that is when the whole problem starts. That is exactly how it's supposed to be. Like, it's trying to protect you, like, anyway, from everything. But because there is the similarity between the bacteria, it could be the bacteria or anything, with your tissues, that your body, that your immune system is so confused that it will start molecules repeating. Okay. Like I told you, these are basically what happens is in your body has immune system, isn't it? Everyone knows what immune is, right? Immune system is basically to protect yourself from all the bacteria or any foreign proteins or particles or anything that comes your way. Okay. So immune system does that. But sometimes what happens, these foreign particles or these viruses, if I may say, may resemble or they try to fight against those invaders. Okay. So your bacteria and viruses have entered your body, your immune system starts creating those antibodies. Now, what will happen? Instead, sometimes what happens, because they're resembling so much like your tissues, that it starts targeting your own tissues. So, for example, if I have to say again, maybe in a way, if I have to say, so basically something is causing confusion. Yes, exactly, because they're resembling so much like your tissues, or like I told you, right? All those bacteria, or it could be a foreign particles or anything like that. That is the reason it is creating. Maybe I'll tell you an example for this one. Okay. Now, you've heard of gluten, right? All the gluten products and everything, you get gluten products. Okay. So they have some kind of a component, all right? What this component does is that something called as glytin. Yes, exactly. Gluten intolerance and all that. Yes. What happens is this gluten has some component called as your glytin. Okay. Now this component is basically kind of resembling like your thyroid gland, right? When you are eating those gluten, the gluten has some component called as your gliadin, all right? So this is, just imagine some kind of a ball structure or something like that maybe. What it does is when you're eating too much, that kind of is resemblance to your thyroid gland, all right? So what happens when you are eating that too much, your body is trying to protect you from the gluten, right? But instead, because it's identical to your thyroid hormone, thyroid gland, what happens, it starts attacking. Your immune system will start, by mistakenly start attack, you know, uh, targeting your thyroid gland. That is when all the autoimmune conditions start. Understand? Because it's so much similar to your organ or your tissues or anything like that, it starts attacking. That is the reason when any kind of autoimmune conditions are there or anything like that, usually the first thing that they say is to stop gluten. So this is the confusion part, okay? So confusion happens. It's not the betrayal, basically. It's because of the confusion that it is happening. That is the reason it is creating a problem. That doesn't mean that, you can't do anything. You can do it. You just have to give them the right information so that your body can start preparing, start protecting in a healthy way instead of targeting your own tissues. All right? It's just a protection kind of a thing. It's just protecting you so much that sometimes by mistakenly it will start attacking your organs. Okay, so the next thing that I will be talking is the iceberg. Okay, so let me ask you a question. How many of you have seen an iceberg in real life or maybe in videos or anywhere? Has anyone seen it? I think most of you might have seen an iceberg, right? Yes, exactly. How much of an iceberg can we actually see above the water when you're seeing? How much percent of the iceberg do you think you can see? Titanic. Yes. Yes, in videos. Okay. So how much percent approximately, according to you, how much percent can you see partially? 10%. Okay. Only the top. Yes, 80%. Okay. Okay, so most of them, yeah, you all are kind of right. It's 10% to 20%, right? But you never know what is hidden underwater. Have you seen underwater anytime? You never get to see underwater, right? How deep is your iceberg, basically? Because the tip of the iceberg, it gives you like a small, you feel like, okay, this is a small mountain. But when you see under, you come to know how deep it is, right? So this is basically just an idea that I can give you. Diseases are often, what do you say, the same way exactly how it goes. The top part is your diagnosis part. So this is the part where you can actually see. Okay. But what do you say? The visible part, if I have to say, right, is your diagnosis part when you come to know that actually you have a problem. But underneath the surface, there might be many, many years of, what do you say, fatigue or digestive problems or poor sleep, stress, all these things, nutrition deficiency, everything. Okay. So initially, what happens is that your body is trying to silently kill all the inflammation and everything, trying to protect you and everything. But when it becomes too much for the body, it relaxes, and that is when you are diagnosed with some kind of health issues. Okay? Bigger and worse underwater. Exactly. It's bigger and worse underwater. So, what we are supposed to be doing instead of, you know, how can we help ourselves? I've also heard someone say, okay, that genetics play a very important role in autoimmune condition. Who believes in this? Do you all think that genetics play an important role in this? 100%. Maybe not. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, in every kind of disease. Okay. I do believe it's true. I think part of it is yes, but a lot of it is a repetition of the same environment. Okay. Yes, in many ways. Okay, what if I tell you that genetics do play an important role in your autoimmune condition, but it basically, okay, just imagine you have a gun, all right? So what this genetic does is it will load the gun, all right? But to pull the trigger or not depends on your environment. It could be your lifestyle, the activities you do, the social life, everything, everything contributes to it. So you cannot never say that, genetics, it does play an important role, but to pull the trigger is in your hand, okay? So that is the thing that you have to focus. All right, because imagine maybe someone, maybe there's a person who has two kids. It doesn't mean that the parent maybe has some autoimmune condition. That doesn't mean that both the kids will have it. Maybe one person is following a proper diet, having a healthy lifestyle, eating properly, everything, whereas the other person is not working on himself. So what would happen? Because of the genetics, the person might be affected, whereas the other person who was very healthy, who was into eating proper, may not get it. Okay, so it's just partially the thing. All right. Okay, I was just like, the diagnosis thing that I was telling you about is just the tip, right? That may not be just the beginning. So it's just like when you are not seeing what your body is telling you, that is when it all starts. So you have to start focusing on your body. You have to start listening to your body. Okay. So when you are listening to your body, you will start understanding that, okay, there is some kind of signaling that your body is giving. Maybe if there is a headache, or if there is, you know, some kind of health issues that you are facing, is just the body trying to tell you that there is some kind of problem. Please try to fix it. Okay. But if you don't do it, then that can cause some kind of health issues. So it's simply the moment of the story just becomes visible when you are diagnosed with it. Okay. It's not the beginning. The beginning, it starts from your, what do you say, silently uh, activating and all that, way before basically. It's just giving you, what do you say, small information. It just keeps giving you a tiny bit of information. But when you try to neglect all those things, that is when it starts happening. Imagine your body like a child, okay, a small kid, for example, who wants your attention, all right? So, in case if you're not giving him the proper attention that he requires, what will the child do? They will start showing tantrums, right? That is how exactly your body will start working, okay? Okay, so I was talking about, now we will talk about the gut. Okay, so basically what happens is your gut plays a very important role when it comes to your autoimmune condition. Okay. So when most of the people, when they think that, immunity and all that, what comes in your mind? Blood test, white blood cells, anything like that. What comes in your mind when you hear about the gut? The underlying symptoms are always present that we ignore. Exactly. That is absolutely true. We must try to focus on what we feel. Digestion, exactly. Some people feel even a prick, some do not get the symptoms till the disease reaches a later stage. Exactly. So that's why you always are supposed to understand what your body is trying to do. We are so disconnected from the body that we don't try to focus. What we are supposed to do is basically try to understand why is it happening? What signaling is your body giving? Okay. Digestion, stomach, yes. So that is what we feel basically, right? When you see the gut. Exactly. Because what happens is the gut, if I have to speak, the immune activities, whatever I have to say, it has large, what do you say, compared to the whole body, the main thing, the main place where it happens is your gut area. So when your digestive system is not correct, everything starts, affecting. Your moods will start affecting, everything starts affecting. Because sometimes, people also say that, gut is your second brain. So it basically is like a, what do you say, security gate kind of a thing. It tells you who's to enter, who not to enter, right? The nutrients for energy, beneficial microbiomes, and so microbes. All these things are the things that the body starts allowing it, and then what does it stop? All your harmful pathogens, toxins, pollutions, everything, all the things that is your foreign, which is not yourself, it's the non-self, that it starts guarding. So that is what happens in your gut. Okay. Oh, one more thing. I just wanted to ask you all, according to you people, how long is your gastrointestinal tract? Any ideas? Is it reversible? Nowadays, people are saying yes with diet and nutrition. I will come on this topic in later sessions, okay? I will just tell you a basic idea. Nutrition do play an important part, but again, there are different factors again that I will be discussing later, okay? Gut health is important, exactly. Okay, some people are saying 10, 3 meters, okay. I heard some meters long, 50 meters, okay. You know how long is it? The gastrointestinal tract is about 30 feet, approximately 9 meters, if I have to say. So if you stretch it, you will find out that it's 30 feet long. And it has most of the microorganisms there. Gastrointestinal tract compared to your whole other body, gastrointestinal tract has most of the microorganisms. Okay. So like for example, if I have to say, imagine you have a beautiful garden. Will you start like there are a lot of things happening, you want to improve the soil or doing there are a lot of weeds around and everything. What will you target first? Will you start pulling all the weeds, or will you start improving the soil? Hmm? I think the gardeners, some gardeners who are here may be able to answer it. If you have a garden, will you start pulling all the weeds first, or will you start improving the soil? Weeds out. Okay. Both. Okay. Pulling out the weeds first. Okay. Exactly. We are supposed to start first with pulling out the weeds. After that, maybe you can start improving your soil and everything so that you can grow a healthy plant. Right. Gut is basically how the soil is supposed to be. Okay. So the soil that I was talking about is exactly what your gut is about. So when you improve the environment, the health often improves too. Okay. So instead of fighting those symptoms all the time, what you are supposed to do is try to improve the terrain. Okay. So by doing so, you will be able to get a healthy surrounding, the healthy plants. Okay. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. What we are supposed to be doing is to improve the environment, and health will often improve. Okay. Okay. Now, when it comes to food, okay, most people usually think that food is fuel, right? That is actually true. I will not say it's not, but it also gives you information. Every meal when you are eating gives you some kind of message to your body. Okay, it could be a message to your hormones, it could be a message to your bacteria, good bacteria, okay, and your energy levels and your immune system, everything will start doing the exact thing. Like if you eat good, your body will start becoming healthy. If you eat something which is not supposed to be eaten, then your body will also start showing results. Okay. Food is not just calories, it is communication. Basically, your body way of communicating. So if you eat good, you become good. Okay. This is also saying that the food is, if you start eating the food, a healthy food and everything, it will start giving you good results. Your body, whatever, whenever you're eating, you're supposed to make sure that the food, whatever you eat, is balanced so that every kind of uh, food is going, and you get a variety of different kind of health improvement. Okay. So all your hormones and gut and everything gives you a good, it depends basically on what you eat. So, but in case if I have to ask you all, what would be the first thing, the one thing that you would do to start? For example, if I tell you if you want to start, okay, to improve yourself, what would be the one thing that you will start tomorrow? Would it be a better diet, or will you start exercising, or will you be like uh, taking less stress or better sleep? What would you try to do first? The one thing, if I have to give you, better diet first. Okay, focus on sleep. Okay, start day with warm water, lemon, ginger. Okay, get rid of parasites if any. Okay, remove all the junk from our diet and try to eat healthy. Sleep. Okay. So there are no wrong answers, if I have to say, because all of these things improves our health. Like someone just messaged above, right? Like if nutrition through nutrition and diet, can it actually improve? Can it reverse it? I would say all of these things influence our health. So in case if there is like, you know, one thing which is lacking, it can cause problem. Get probiotic curds. Exactly. These are very good for our body. No junk, no junk, no unhealthy food. Very true. Okay. Okay, now when it comes to your gut again, there are some microorganisms, right? There are like trillions of microorganisms that are found in your gastrointestinal tract. 10 times more, if I have to say, compared to the other parts of the body. Does that sound scary to you people? Many of them are actually helping, actually. Not all are bad. They're all trying to support the immunity, trying to, like, what do you say, produce important compounds, all of this. This usually affects your mood as well, you know that? So what happens is when you are trying to feed them well, they will help us thrive. Now, if you give them variety, the main reason, the main thing that, all the microorganisms, the good microorganisms, if I have to say, if you because there are things that some microorganisms like something, some other microorganisms like the other things. So it depends on what food you're giving. If you give them variety of food, they will try to there will be many good bacteria and it will help you in digestion and improving your mood and everything. Okay, the bacteria is important and they affect everything. Exactly, everything. These are very good at improving your gut and everything basically. I've also heard somewhere, okay, that people say that when you eat, you are basically eating to feed the good bacteria, whereas the good bacteria you're feeding to improve your health. Antibiotics destroys them. Exactly. These antibiotics basically is taken when you have some kind of infection or anything. But when you eat them, your gut microflora is also getting destroyed. That is the reason antibiotics do help. And that is also your good bacteria are going and you start turning weak. Lots of fiber. Yes, that needs to be included in your diet. Variety of fibers will help your gut flora improve. Most people focus a lot on proteins now, but they forget that fiber is needed for proper digestion. Very true, I would say, because though protein is very good, essential for our body, but fiber also plays a very important role. Fiber, because many people are actually neglecting fiber, and the main reason you're for any kind of digestion or anything, you require fiber. Okay. So when you're not giving them proper environment, you're not giving the proper food that they require, they will become, what do you say, less resilient. So that happens. Okay. Helps us with constipation. Exactly. When you start giving fiber, they will start. Maybe in next session, I will maybe explain you exactly about what foods to be given, what helps better, and how can you stay healthy. Okay. Okay. So I was just saying that this topic that I chose is basically to explain that there is some kind of similarities. I would not say similarities, but it goes parallel way. Like when you see all the ancient wisdom, if I'm talking about these, for example, like Unani, if I have to say, or Ayurveda and TCM, your traditional Chinese medicines, all of them are actually is being placed in a very important specification on your digestion. Okay, so they play a very important role. Whenever you're talking about Unani or Ayurveda or TCM, they focus a lot in your digestion process. So long before the scientists have discovered about these microbiomes and everything, these traditions have understood that digestion helps effectively, helps us and our bodies, our moods and everything. Okay. So today the science is helping us understand why basically. Because when you see Unani medicine, it there's a concept called as suvisage, okay, which basically describes your imbalances that is happening your internally, internal environment, what imbalances is happening. There is something called as tadbir, which emphasizes, basically on your lifestyle, your um, food that you eat and everything. So basically, whenever you eat all those things, if you're eating a healthy diet, healthy food, that is going to affect your digestion. If you eat something unhealthy, that will also internally affect your system. So basically, that is the thing. Even Ayurveda, there's a concept called as ama. Okay, that is basically whatever you're eating, any kind of, anything, whatever you're eating, basically. So in case whatever you eat, there is some kind of metabolic residues that I would say that starts accumulating. So then it's like, what do you say? All of these things to be removed and done everything plays an important role in your digestion. Okay. And also there's something called as TCM, the traditional Chinese medicine, that also tells you about the spleen qi, which is your energy. Okay, so when there is a deficiency, there is usually the tendency, the body will be very damp. What do you say? There will be poor digestion, sluggish metabolism, kind of a thing, systematic imbalances, all of these things, and they do play an important role in our body. So all of these three things basically tells you about. They start basically by saying that you need to eat healthy so that you can improve your digestion. All this applies to all types of autoimmune conditions or diseases. Basically, if I have to say, these conditions, the autoimmune conditions. Okay, can anyone tell me how or what are the different autoimmune conditions that you all are aware of? Anyone? What is the autoimmune condition that you guys are aware of? There's arthritis, lupus, exactly. Anything else? Hashimoto's, okay. Anything else that you guys are aware of? Thyroid, Hashimoto's, yes. Psoriasis, exactly. These are very different kind of autoimmune conditions, right? All this is focused on your digestion. So basically what happens is there are different kind of conditions, but the root cause of illness is one. Okay, so all of this digestion is the main thing, the main root cause, if I have to say, for all the illnesses. So if you try to improve your digestion, if you try to help, give the body the right foods and everything, your autoimmune condition will also start to show results. Okay. Alopecia, vitiligo, diabetes, yes, type 1 diabetes. Yes. So all of this. The main cause is digestion. Though they look different, but the problem that we can solve is through one way. Okay. Now this part is about your stress. Now, do you think stress plays an important role in your body? Does it affect our body? Who thinks that stress is affecting the body? Yes. Exactly, the mother of all diseases. Okay. Okay, let me ask you another question. How many of you have ever gone through a stressful period and then after that period is over, you become sick? Has anyone felt that? Stress directly affects exactly constipation. Yes, you all have. Most of them, I think, will be having a stressful kind of a situation one period of time. But usually, when you take a lot of stress, your body starts getting sick. That is because the stress doesn't just affect your mind, it affects your sleep. You might be feeling that, when you're too much stressed, you might not get a proper sleep. Your digestion starts showing, you know, constipation or diarrhea. Your hormones starts changing, your energy, your immunity, everything starts changing, right? Stress is not just emotional, it is biological as well. So you have to focus on your stress as well. Okay, that's why people say that stress is, managing your stress is non luxury. It's supposed to be your part of healthcare kind of a thing. Indigestion, body on lockdown mode. Yes, exactly. Palpitations, very true. These are the things that keeps happening. So you need to focus on the stress levels as well. You need to see how you can improve your stress part as well. Okay. Maybe you can think it as a firefighter kind of a thing. Imagine that there's a firefighter who is always arriving at the building. Every single time they're arriving at the building whenever there is fire. But because they're coming every time, you might be feeling like, what are they actually trying to do? Why are they coming every day? Why are they coming every time? Do you think that these firefighters are the problem? Or do you think that the fire is the problem? The real problem is supposed to be the fire, right? So fire is basically that inflammation that is often like, what do you say? Because there is, when you eat something wrong or something like that, there will be a lot of inflammation that will be found in your body, and that could be a problem if you do not fix it. Okay, our job is basically not to focus on the inflammation, but it's to ask, why is it causing that? Okay, why is my body getting inflamed, and why is it? Okay. How do we manage stress when we don't realize we're stressed out? This is a very good question, and maybe I can, make a series out of it or something like that, where I can, explain you how is it done, how you can understand and everything. Because I actually agree with that. That there are some cases where you yourself don't realize that you are stressed because you've been always stressing and everything. So I will basically explain you exactly. Okay. Whenever you're starting anything, any kind of thing, your sleep, it could be your movement or your nutritious food, sorry, the stress management, community, and connection. All of these play a important role. So whenever you're doing, right, never focus on like you will try to improve all of this at once. Always think of a simple habit. Maybe you can start improving anything. Maybe you can try starting your good sleep, try to improve your good sleep. All of these basically is like important for us. Everything should be managed properly, because one or the other, if it's not there, then your body will start showing your problems and everything. It will start signaling basically that something is wrong. So all of these play a very important role. It's not just that if you get good sleep, you will be healthy, or if you just start doing, eating a lot of nutritious food and all that, you'll be healthy. It's nothing like that. All of these play a very important role. Even socially active is a thing. Now that everyone's into like phones and everything, they are social, but some way there is not no communication and everything. So I feel like everything should be at there, like any kind of exercises that you're doing. What you can do maybe is that you can divide a day by, how do I say, in a way like, if I have to say, yes, so maybe what you can do is, if I have to say, 8 plus 8 plus 8, so 8 hours, maybe you can keep for sleeping, 8 hours maybe you can keep for working, 8 hours is for your free time. So do whatever you want to do during that time. Maybe through that way, maybe you can start improving. So if you do this kind of change, maybe then you will be able to, like, identifying how can you improve sleep. 8 hours of sleep, okay, do that, you know. But I will not say it's very easy for people, because even when you're stressing, like the previous thing that I told you, when you're stressing too much, when you are not eating, you might not get proper sleep and everything. So everything is basically important. Again, I will show you in the next series, inshallah. It comes, okay? So simple habits, powerful medicines. Slowly, slowly. It's not necessary that in one go you're supposed to do all of this. It takes time. Slowly, slowly build a habit. Try to improve one thing or the other, and then you will see results. Okay? Balance is important. Exactly. Balance is important. So if you keep all of them in balance, you will see good improvement. Okay, next slide. Okay, so your body is not your enemy. Healing begins when we listen. Okay, this is an important part again. When you are focusing on your body, when you start actually listening to what your body is saying, you will basically understand. You will be able to guide, give them the right information, and start healing. Okay, so the three things that if I have to say, if you guys have to listen, if you have to remember, I would say that your body is not your enemy, it's trying to protect you. The second thing is your gut and your immune system are very deeply connected. So, in case if your gut, if you're not giving a proper nutrition, then it can be a problematic issue or whatever you say. Okay, so always make sure that your gut and your immune system are very deeply connected. So everything, your mood, everything starts changing. And even when you're doing it, how will you do it? By small, small daily habits. You can just start with small, small daily habits, and you will see big differences over time. All right. So before leaving, also, I will just give you one more thing. Imagine a child crying. You Will you be like silencing the child, or will you try to ask, why are you crying? You will basically try to ask, right? If you are trying to, like, stopping the child, it's basically like your body. Symptoms are often when your body starts crying for attention. Like I told you previously also, imagine like a child and showing tantrums when you're trying to neglect them. It is the same way, okay? So healing begins when you are curious, why is it happening? And what do you say, rather than being frustrated and everything, you're trying to focus on what is happening. Okay, so your body will give you signals, and instead of asking, why are you betraying me, ask them, why no, what is my body trying to tell me? That is how you can progress. Your body is not betraying you, it is basically just trying to communicate. Focus on that. Okay, and healing often begins when you are starting to listen. Okay, so thank you everyone. Jazakallah khair for listening.
Jazakallah khairan, everyone, for joining us today. A special thank you to Rida Sayed for this insightful and inspiring session. Your knowledge and compassionate approach has given us much to reflect on and apply in our own lives. May Allah reward you abundantly for sharing your expertise with us. Thank you all for being here, and we hope to see you again at future events. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.